Good morning. My name is Melissa Anthony, and some of you may recognize me because I did have the privilege of speaking back in April, right around the Easter time, regarding our Easter extravaganzas and celebrations. And I'm really excited to be back here today because I have to share a quick story that is proof that you are listening and it works. Immediately following that service, I headed over to a different Publix than I normally ever go to, and I met a woman. You pass each other in the aisle quite a few times, and about aisle 11, she stopped me and said, I heard you at church today, and I recognize you, and I just wanted to let you know that what you said encouraged me to let the woman at the deli know that I've been noticing she's just a little bit unhappy, and that's not Publix. If you know Publix, that's not Publix. And she took that opportunity the day after I had spoken to invite her to Easter service. And she said the lady explained to her, I've been going through some really tough things, and I happen to have Easter Sunday off, and I will join you at church. So that to me was such validation that what we're saying up here as volunteers especially truly, truly works. So I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to be back here today. I also want to say that I am new to a Toastmasters group working on my speaking, so I hope nobody will buzz me, ding me, flashing lights, no bells, anything like that, that you would be a much more forgiving audience for me. I would really appreciate that, so I'm a new member there. I believe that I was asked to be here today because my life group leader knows what a challenge it was for us to kind of take that first step and get going. I think that a lot of you in here will relate to the way that I felt, and certainly those who are in life groups, the way that I feel about a life group. I can remember so vividly sitting through so many services and hearing the way that Pastor Barry or others would get so excited when they talked about life groups, just totally re-energized. That moment when he steps around here and puts his hands in his pockets, it's something really, really good. I'm wearing skinny jeans, so there's no pockets here, so forgive me, I'm not going to go there, but I knew it was something different. I knew it was something different about life groups, but I just didn't think it was for me. I would just kind of let that part slip out. He must be talking to people who just weren't like me. And there were certain excuses that would just go through my head. Finding an extra 2-3 hours a week? No, that can't be me. Surely he wouldn't expect me, a full-time working mom with 2 small kids and a working husband in sports and everything else. No, he must be talking to people who have spare time. I don't know that those exist, but surely he was talking to those people. He might be talking to people who could flip right to the page in the Bible that they want to cite. He might be looking right for that person who can spit verses at you just so eloquently. I would just be embarrassed if I tried to go to a life group. And even if I did commit, I probably would never make it. I'd cancel all the time. So what would be the point? I also thought he'd be talking to somebody who was totally comfortable just stepping out into somebody else's home and knocking on the door and bells and whistles ready to evangelize, and that was not me. That was not me either. And so I would think to myself, if he's not talking to me, I can just move on. I can just get what I need to get on Sundays, and all will be well. I started to think to myself, I have to be honest, what he was saying about life groups, because I just let my imagination form it, it didn't sound fun maybe. Maybe it sounded boring. And oh boy, was I wrong. I was wrong. But it took taking that step. And I have to be honest, I don't have this big aha moment where I had an experience where something pulled me right out and life group saved my life. That wasn't it. But I was curious, and I was open-minded because so many other things have been proven true by listening to what I had heard others say here. So I remember milling around in the lobby outside one day after service and kind of making short, narrow eye contact with each of the tables, looking to see what was going on. And somehow I landed at the life group table. And I looked up, and Will Pajol was there, and he said, "Are you interested in joining a life group?" And I thought, oh, boy. I said, no, that's not for me. And all the excuses just rolled right off my tongue. It's shocking how that happens. And he just said, that's okay. My wife, Simone, and I were hosting a life group, and we also have small children, and yes, we can also relate to that. And school nights, yes, we have school-age children. It was like, okay, all right. And it's like that scene in Little Mermaid where Ariel signs her voice away. She's like, okay, I'll do it. And immediately I thought to myself, what have I done? I just committed maybe the only 2 hours I have on my schedule. My husband's going to kill me. And it was just one of those things where it must have just been a God thing because it turned out to be such an awesome experience. So when the Pajoles did contact us and they shared their schedule, we did go. And I have to be honest, it wasn't necessarily easy. Just because I knew Simone from children's ministry and I had met Will a couple times, that didn't make it something where I could just roll right in there. I didn't take a crash course on Bible study, so I walked in there armed. It's the same excuses of why I didn't think it was for me were still there. I was still just as busy as I was a few weeks before. Again, still kind of at that entry-level elementary Bible, if you will. And it still was out of our comfort zone to go and sit in someone's home who I didn't know personally yet, especially for my husband. And I have to pause here. And if I had pockets, I'd do one of these right here if I could. But I have to pause and say what a blessing it was that my husband supported me in this. I know that there's probably a lot of ladies and men as well who are hoping that your spouse might also agree to take that step, but you just haven't asked. Maybe you've hinted at it, maybe not assertively enough, so let me do that for you. And just say that anytime someone you love steps out of their comfort zone to do something that matters to you, that is very attractive. Am I right? Very attractive. So we started going. The kids loved it too, and there are some kids their age, some kids that weren't, and how important it is that kids see their parents making time for worship. That is just so, so important. And I was always the one with all the questions. I probably still am. That's all right. That's how I learn. And my husband was the silent sweetheart, just listening. And I'll never forget the first time in the Pajoles' home he spoke up, and the room just about went to pin drop silence because he was just always listening but absorbing. And that was really a special. And since then, now he's a big talker. That's great. But, as we got going, we developed relationships. I didn't know that they were going to be there, but they were. There's a sincerity in the friendships and the conversation that happens at a life group that happens nowhere else in my life. So I have to say I was happy to be proven wrong. It was casual. It was fun, despite what I had imagined a life group to be. It was elementary. I could ask questions, and it was okay to ask stupid questions. And my leaders are probably thinking, I start everything off with, I should know this, but... So let me get this straight. I have kind of my catchphrases. I'm sure that they're probably like, yeah, that's you. But there's food too, and that can be really cool. That can be very fun. So if that's motivation for you, it certainly works for me. And over the years that we've been in our life group, we have had some awesome celebrations. There have been work milestones and family milestones and just the simple things that maybe you don't even think are worthy of your prayer. We celebrate those too. But we've also had some really difficult times as a group. They have supported us through my personal family experience, divorce. There has been unemployment, depression. There's been just your regular strife at work that eats up at you that maybe you don't feel like you can complain to anybody about. You can bring it to the group and just lay it out there. And we pray for each other for the good stuff, and we recognize, and we certainly will just kind of use the Bible as a way to creatively explore. And it's not just flipping through the Bible and pointing to things and saying, well, you should read that and you should do this. We use videos, we use stories, we use testimonials, we use the internet, we use worksheets, we use books. So, those of you who are also animated like me and maybe need a little bit different learning style, that's what you can find in a group. So I would encourage you to consider a group the same way that you would consider a test drive in a car. Nothing wrong with one car or the other, or maybe there is, but as you're shopping them out, it's just not the one for you, the one. And so you may not find your life group in the first time. But in your mind, if you're thinking that a life group is not for you, I would just encourage you to try to prove yourself right. Try it. Because I believe that you're going to prove yourself wrong. And so I just want to use this opportunity to say thank you for all of you who do lead life groups. It's such an awesome commitment that you're willing to do, and I'm just proud of you and grateful for you. And